and today I will be reading to you from Sticky Notes and Trinkets by Rainbow Star _772. That's me. Now, on to Chapter 21. Rule number 11. Looks can be deceiving. Russia looked over to the bleachers where he had seen America go, scanning them to spot several people just chilling out and talking on them. It had taken him a bit to find America, who had opted to hide in a far corner of the bleachers, and was covered mostly by a blanket. He knew America was in a cheer uniform under the blanket. He'd seen it during roll call. He'd say he wasn't complaining, but he was upset, because he liked seeing America in that outfit, and, well, in general. He had to admit, though, America was hotter in the outfit. If he had glasses, they would have steamed up enough to warrant anti-fog on them at this point. Glasses were interesting when it came to America, though. He'd seen America knock his sunglasses off once. Instead of just continuing on like a regular person, America winced and closed his eyes as much as he could. America had really pretty purple eyes with black sclera. He'd cemented those eyes into his mind. They were very pretty. He'd asked Cuba about the wincing and had gotten a small shrug in response of, "From what I've been able to get, his eyes are really light sensitive. The sunglasses are a prescription. Don't know anything about the particular condition, because he's the person I have the least on. Sneaky little gremlin." Out of curiosity and concern about America, he'd looked into it. The only thing he could really find was photophobia, and a one-off study that connected a fatal sleeping disorder to mutations with the senses. He doubted it was the sleep disorder, though, as most found to have it were dead before they were even a month old. At least he had a better grasp of what he might be able to do to help out America, if he could work up the guts to talk to him. Or he could be entirely wrong about the photophobia, and it was just the fact that America didn't have a white sclera, but black, which he had no problems with, mind you. Looking into them was like looking into the night sky. They were fucking pretty. Sue him. He knew he'd be able to see America's eyes if the lights were heavily dimmed. Maybe America could handle sunlight, though he probably couldn't. So closed curtains and heavily dimmed lights if he wanted to see those pretty eyes. He found himself extremely thankful for the lights in his room being controllable in brightness and color. It'd mean that he'd actually be able to see America's pretty eyes again. He shook his head a couple of times before going to find Cuba, figuring his friend would have some stuff they could do while they waited. Apparently, the best idea Cuba had for while they waited was practice, which was fine by him. He'd opted to use the nickel harpa this week, as he'd enjoyed his ability to baffle people with random instruments. They ended up practicing until they were called to go, which happened when they were midway through. Russia sighed and stretched, following Cuba to the bus, finding himself gazing ahead of them at America, who looked pretty despite the blanket wrapped around him. "You are so down bad," he heard Cuba whisper from beside him. "Shut the fuck up," he whispered back, hoping America hadn't heard either of them. The only response he got to that was a chuckle. He opted to lightly smack Cuba on the back of the head for that. He then decided to speed up a little and ignore Cuba while he got on the bus. He opted to sit behind America, as he had last Friday, which he noticed seemed to have a positive effect on the cutie. He was entirely happy to do it again, as it didn't really do anything to him. It was a net positive, so he was happy to do it again. He looked out the window as he waited for the bus to start moving. He also opted to listen to some music. He was pulled out of the music by a text from Cuba. All it said was, guess what? And there was a video attachment, which he stared at for a long moment to process it. He reluctantly opened the attachment and heavily flushed when he realized what it was. It was a fucking video of America, the innocent-looking, painfully anxious and shy avian coming down from the top of a fucking pole. He was moving in a way that only lent itself to strippers. Then the voice of someone he vaguely recognized from a while back, someone he knew as America's brother, asked in a light and playful tone, "Know any other ways to get down, lil' bro?" The response came from in an almost pitifully quiet tone. "No, Canada, you know this. The only other way down is to jump. Also, I'm older than you." "Still little," was the last response before the video cut. Russia stared at his now blank screen for a long while, internally screaming. He was sure he was more lit up than a Christmas tree. His face was certainly redder than a tomato. He stared at his phone a little longer before deciding he did not need to think about this right now. He closed his text with Cuba and sent a text to his dad, hoping he might be able to convince him to attempt to catch his little gift giver. He could tell there was probably some sort of romantic interest behind it, and he really didn't feel like being that guy. The one who broke some poor motherfucker's heart. It'd be best to just let them know he wasn't interested in that way, but they could become friends. After sending that text, he opted to go back to listening to music, ending up humming along to it. He was snapped out of it by his phone vibrating with a response, which he promptly checked. "Fine, you can Thursday. Only if they're still doing it then," was the response that he'd gotten from his dad. That prompted a mini internal celebration. He was very happy with that. It meant he'd caused someone less pain, and they'd stop being a constant question of, "Who the fuck are you?" to him. After a moment, he stared at the seat in front of him, wondering what America was doing. He'd probably never know, nor be close enough to America to be allowed to exist near him without causing anxiety in the little cutie. He sighed a little and looked out the window of the bus as they continued towards the game. And that is the end of this chapter. I hope you enjoyed. Anyway, I'd like to invite you to join the Discord, which is linked down in the description below. That being said, I hope you have a nice rest of your day, night, or whatever it is for you. Just enjoy your time. And I will see you tomorrow.